Hey folks, good morning. This is Troy's Morning Coffee Reflections. And you know, if you hear my voice is a little raspy, it is. This weather down here in Florida has just been crazy for us. But today I was sitting here, I was praying and I was focused, went out and got a cup of coffee. And as I came back, I had two ways that I was going to go today. I've been reading Norman Woodward's book and Chris Brady's on leadership and liberty. And I mean, it's just a powerful book. But I took a day off on that. We're going to get back to that tomorrow. But today I started going back over the sermon that my pastor preached on Sunday. We're doing a series right now. I think you can go see it probably. Here, let me put this up here if y'all can see that. See that Wasted 2010? You know, Shoreline Presents. It's 5 ways that you can get wasted. And here, that's probably a better way of looking at it, wasted there. And it's our church is crazy. We're a church for the real world, so you don't get a lot of those Christianese, a lot of that churchy stuff. But every now and then, he gets on a roll. And this is called Double Click. And you know, I sat there, and the reason it hit me so hard is because I'm a typical red-blooded American. You know, growing up as a kid, you had the Playboy magazines, you'd sneak into class. I remember paying a guy $5 so I could get a picture of one of the girls that we had graduated with in a Playboy magazine, and you know, all that stuff. But as I sat here and I looked at this, and as a father today, my baby girl yesterday went out and got a haircut for $40, and I'm thinking, hey, man, just go buy an $8 razor like I do. But she's still gorgeous, and I look at Cassie, and she's grown up to be such a beautiful girl, and all of a sudden, you look at this, and you it puts on a whole new light. You know, back when we were growing up, you had to try to buy a magazine. I remember as in the youth group, three of us guys, you know, we run out and we're in the car, and they're 16 and I'm 15, and I can't drive yet, but I'm the one that goes into the liquor store to buy a dirty magazine. And you know, no hair on your chest, you got a little peach fuzz under your nose, and I'm trying to buy something, and he's wanting to card me, and I'm saying, but dude, I left my wallet somewhere. I mean, I didn't even know how to lie, you know. And I thought that was we just got all crazy, thought that was cool, until you get in and you realize the danger, you realize what happens. And as somebody now that's really heavy into social justice, and you guys have seen some of my websites where we share what happens to these little 16, 17, 18-year-old girls. We show what happens to moms who have been in abusive relationships. We talk about the dangers. I even have a story on one of our blogs of a 16-year-old girl that had cried out for help. But by the time the people could get to her, her pimp had already beat her beyond recognition. She later died. But before she died, she was asked why. She said, I just wanted to see my sister again who got taken too for this. It's sad. So as Eric was talking about this, I thought, man, how easy is it today to just get into your closet, you know, turn on your netbook, turn on your smartphone, you know, whatever the case may be, and look at all the porn that's out there, and some of this stuff that we've uncovered. I mean, you know, you guys can see we really try to find and weed out pedophiles and get the organizations to work with them. And there's been 3 good busts just right down here in Florida, right here in a beautiful area where rich people live, the largest pedophile bust ever. And this was all kiddie porn on the internet. 400,000 videos and pictures of young kids being victimized. And as I went through this, I thought, wow. But then we started looking at stats. And I came home Sunday and started pulling out some of the current stats, and almost 40% of porn sites are now visited by women. And I thought, man, this goes right along the lines of what we talk about when we talk about teenage girls and boys sexting on their cell phones and putting just nude pictures, thinking, okay, this is going to be cool. I'm gonna tantalize, whatever the heck the word is, my boyfriend or my girlfriend. And yet that is a form of, first of all, it's a form of kiddie porn, but second of all, you can't ever take that back. And we've seen young girls devastated. You know, we laugh and we make fun of, you know, all these Winehouse and Spears and all these girls. But there's somebody's daughter. There's a mom and dad crying their eyes out at home as their young girls not just get victimized, but get caught up in their egos, get caught up in their fame, and are showing off all their little treasures to everybody. Or they're in a movie because they thought it'd be really cool just to make a little private movie, and then some idiot of a guy takes that and sells it to TMZ or somebody else. And we make fun of them. But what would we do if that was our daughter? What would we do if it was our wife? What would happen if all of a sudden you found out you weren't taking care of your wife's needs enough? And she'd gone out here on one of these adult social sites and got into some kind of an emotional affair and thought it was safe to be using her webcam on her computer, and she's showing herself off over here. Then you go to work and somebody tells you about it. Or what happens if you find out that your daughter thought it was cool to make some wild little pictures, and maybe she wasn't even showing off all those little treasures she has. She was just pretending and was getting somebody hot and bothered, and the next thing you know, she's been raped. You know, I really doubt that those parents this last weekend whose daughter was a playmate ever dreamed that their daughter would end up burned beyond recognition in a dumpster outside of a Miami nightclub. At the height of her, what she thought was the height of her career, somebody took her life. So as Eric was sharing on Sunday, I got to thinking of how many times I personally have ended up on a porn site. Ended up over here where I shouldn't have been, saw a social site and realized it was one of those adult social sites. And then I look at the news out there and the commercials, and I see that there's all these Ashley Madison and all these, you know, have an affair and booty call and all this garbage that's going on. What's even more interesting is if you hit one of those sites, the first thing that usually pops up is a little bitty titillizing little picture that says, hey, I'm in so-and-so. And it's usually your hometown because they're popping the IP addresses to see where all their visitors are from. That means somebody knows that you were on that site besides you and God. See, I look at things different now that I'm a dad. Really look at them different now that I'm a grandpa. 1 Corinthians 6 says, everything is permissible for me, but not everything is beneficial. Everything is permissible for me, but I will not be mastered by anything. Women more than men get caught up in the emotional side of it. Men are visual guys, man. They just, boom, they're looking. Either way, it can be devastating. And you know, I'm not even here today to judge somebody on their porn issue. Here's what I'm going to say. If you're in business for yourself and you're wondering why your business isn't growing, maybe it's because you're hanging out on the wrong websites. Maybe you're chatting with the wrong person. Maybe you're wasting time that God gave you, and there is no other time in the world. Once you've got it, it's gone. You don't get to take it back. You don't get to try over. It's just over. So this is a little different Troy's reflection, but as I was sitting here today watching the news, going over what Eric had preached on, I realized, wow. And now, we're getting close to time, but Eric did give 5 ways to get out of this. Number 1, stop all the fantasy at the thought stage. Man, if you're thinking about it, just cut that out. Go make love with your husband. Go make love with your wife. Go talk to him, but don't get in a corner somewhere and lollygag around. Number 2, get some accountability. Man, call up a friend. Call up a girlfriend. You know, we're all adults here. Okay, don't pretend that somebody's going to be, oh my gosh, I didn't know that happened. Come on. Number 3, set up some guardrails. You know, I tell my kids all the time, you know, danger zone. It came from Top Gun, man. Put that sign back that says danger zone, bridge out ahead. Stay back from it and then don't cross that thing. Number 4, purposely create consequences. Man, there's all kinds of great software. Matter of fact, we market some and we can share with you where you can go to protect your kids on their iPhone, on the websites, to protect you, to set up an accountability. Now, you might not want, I wouldn't suggest setting up accountability with your wife or your husband. That's just double dumb. Okay, you don't need to hurt them any worse. Find an accountability partner you can trust and set it up with them. And number 5, keep the future in front of you. See, the last thing I ever want to do is devastate my daughters. Ever. I read a story once about a man who left the house. He was on a business trip and got a little horny and decided he was going to call up a hooker. So he made a phone call. He thought nobody would know. I'm over here in this private town. Who's ever going to find out? Knock came at the door and he opened his door. It was his daughter who had run away a few years before, and there she was in front of her dad. Man, live life like it's an epic adventure, but man, think through everything you do because it does have consequences. We'll see you tomorrow.